I dug myself in a deep hole by using drugs and drinking alcohol. And what mainly brought me to Rational Reflections was the treatment center I went to. They had really good counselors and psychologists, and they recommended that I come to transitional living facility to kind of see how to live like in the real world, without people who are enabling you in the past, or just like going back to your old like kind of ways. So basically that's what brought me to Rational Reflections.
Good. Why don't you tell us the difference between when you were using and now?
First thing that comes off to the top of my head, thinking about the way I was using, what happened then and everything, and then the now, is really crazy. Like, my awareness level has like gone up on thoughts. My thought processes are just like a lot normal now. Like, I don't feel or think that I have to, do the old behaviors that I used to. And I could tell a really big difference just by having some sobriety time. That, like I said earlier, my awareness level has gone up, and I am I'm putting an effort into things in life that, like that really count, like for a job or family, personal relationships, stuff like that. And basically, it's just this way of life has been working a lot better than my old way when I was using.
So sum it up for us. Tell us why sober living is important. Tell us why you didn't choose to just go home.
Right. Well, for a while there, I knew my parents wouldn't let me come back after treatment. I'd done a lot of collateral damage on them, and just living in that home with them is just probably wasn't the safest environment, because I knew a lot of people knew where I lived, just around the small town like area, part of the city, small part of the city, which was like really easy for me to go out and start getting back into those old habits and behaviors, and just continue to start using again. And when I got to this program, I realized that it's hard work kind of living life on life's terms, like how stuff comes up in life and you're just like you don't know how to get through it. I get a lot of anxiety when that kind of stuff happens, and like living with other people who are going through the same thing as I am in the same age group is just like it's a miracle, because like we can all relate to one another, and we've been down that same road, and I believe that like the routines we do here versus the routines I would have done at home are just like it's in a really positive way, instead of like going back to this like that negative environment I used to live in. I wake up on time, go to bed at a decent hour, just like the normal stuff normal people would do, adults and everything. So I would have to say, just transitional living, it's like sober living is a really big benefit, and it's helped me out just tremendously.
Tell us about Stride for Recovery. You walked in the Stride for Recovery last year.
Right.
What did that mean to you? Walking the stride, making awareness of addiction and what addiction does to a person's life.
Right. There's like lots of people I've heard in the past with this disease of alcoholism, and it kills people, thousands of people every year, and just the fact that we could, just the fact that I'm a part of something that, gets the message across to other people that there is, an illness of this sort that I have is just, it's amazing. The Stride for Recovery walk, when I was walking it last year, it was very interesting. It was something I've never really done before, and I just thought, I'm a musician myself. There's a lot of really cool music out there, a lot of talented artists that are also in recovery, and seeing them kind of just made me have someone to look up to at that point. And it's a lot of fun. You get to see and meet people, hear people's different stories and stuff, and just, I don't know, being active and taking that walk, it's just it's like, hey, I'm here, we're all gonna do this together. And that's how I came to this point, really. I had to ask out for help and be a part of something bigger than what's really going on. So that's what I think about that.
So what would you say to someone that says, I don't know about walking Stride for Recovery? What would be your advice to them?
Wow. Can't hurt. It's not gonna kill you. Advice-wise, I guess if they were in my position, or if they were a parent who has a kid suffering from this disease too, I would probably just probably give some sort of advice that, hey, you're not alone. I'm here for help too, and I sought out the help, and now it's only benefited me. And you know what I mean? There's no, thousands of other people are doing it, and if it's working for them, why wouldn't it work for you? So I'd probably say, come take a walk with me.
Trey, why don't you tell us what brought you to Rational Reflections?
Heavy drinking and a lot of drug use pretty much brought me here.
Okay. Tell us what the difference is between when you were using drugs and now. Help us understand what that looks like.
Well, basically just my confidence level. I'm a lot more confident when I'm not using drugs. When I'm using drugs, I lose my confidence, and all I care about is my next fix, my next drink.
And I understand that you are a very talented musician and you play a lot of sports. I see you out here playing basketball all the time. What does that mean to you? Has that come back now since you've stopped the using? Has it become easier for you to do those kind of things?
Oh yes, I've gotten so much better at guitar in the short time I've been here, because I've actually been practicing and having time to practice. And sports is very important for my recovery, because it gets the endorphins flowing, and it helps me.
So why do you think, sum it up for us, help us understand why you think sober living is important. What is the difference between coming to an assisted facility such as Rational Reflections versus going home?
Well, if I would have gone home, I probably would have relapsed, because coming straight from a facility and then going home, I wouldn't recommend it. I've tried it before and it didn't work for me, because I wasn't ready for all this freedom, and I didn't make it very long, maybe 2 months. But to come from a facility with heavy restrictions and then coming here to what it is, it's a halfway house. It's between the real world and recovery. So I would recommend it, because it's helped my recovery a lot. It's keeping me sober being here.
So you know about Stride for Recovery and the
Yes,
walk
ma'am.
that's coming up in September. Do you plan to do the walk?
Yes, I plan to do the walk whenever we're doing it.
Okay. And tell us about the walk. Tell us what you understand of the walk and what's going to be occurring.
Oh, it's to raise awareness for substance abuse, and basically to shed light on the fact that substance abuse is a big issue.
And it affects a lot of people,
It
doesn't
does. It affects a lot of people, not just the people who are involved in substance abuse, but their families, friends, everyone involved with the people.
How do you like being here? What do you think about the staff that's here? Do you feel like they help you? You've got 2 counselors here, from what we understand. Tell us about how that looks.
Yeah, the staff, they're awesome. Like, they'll help me whenever I'm like needing some help, and the counselors, the counseling sessions are very thorough. You can't really tell them there's nothing going on, because they'll get something out of you, and there's always something going on, you know. And so I don't know, it's helped me, like, having such a good staff, very caring, compassionate.
Are you learning to be more honest with yourself through the process? Is that coming out where you're starting to realize that maybe this wasn't such the best way to deal with this?
Yeah, I've never been very honest, but I've been getting more honest since I've been here, and like, I haven't really been involved in a lot of lies, which is crazy, because when I'm in my alcoholism and in my addiction, I lie about everything. Like, where I'm at, where I'm gonna be, like, they're all lies that I tell to keep people from knowing that really I'm just drinking.
Is there anything else that you would like to pass across to people that don't know or don't understand addiction and what that does to a person?
Yeah, I'd like to pass across that the 12 steps are basically the only way that I've found that people recover, and I couldn't do it on my own. I had to have rehab, so I believe that a lot of people that are heavy alcoholics, heavy drug addicts, they'll probably need treatment, and I would definitely recommend it. At least 30 days. It helped me, so that's really all I have to say.
David, why don't you tell us what brought you to Rational Reflections?
What brought me to Rational Reflections? Well, I was in Sundown Ranch Rehabilitation Center, and it came down to what we were my aftercare and what we were going to do after I got out of Sundown. And I knew I couldn't go back to Longview, which is where I was living before, where I grew up, because it says in the big book you can't go back to the same person's places or things. And I knew if I went back, I would have just been caught up in the same stuff. Only after, because I had gone through Sundown once before, and had tried to go back to Longview, and that had happened. And so I knew I needed to change of scenery, relocation, and decided to go with Rational Reflections, and it's worked out so far.
David, why don't you tell us what the difference is between when you were using and now? What does that look like?
When I was using, I couldn't handle day-to-day responsibilities. I wasn't self-supporting. I wasn't independent. I wasn't able to make my own decisions. The drugs and alcohol pretty much ruled and controlled everyday life for me. And now I'm able to, do things day in and day out as far as responsibilities and, the things that I need to do to make sure that I'm okay, such as going to meetings, working with a sponsor, doing those types of things. I mean, I never would have been able to handle those responsibilities, and being at Lenny's or Rational Reflections, being here has sort of helped me sort of learn to be able to accomplish those everyday tasks, whereas before, I mean, wasn't even possible for me. I mean, I just was a wreck. I couldn't even, my room, everything was a wreck. I mean, I just was not, a complete individual, I guess you could say.
Why don't you help us understand why sober living is important? Why didn't you just go home straight out of Sundown?
Because I knew I wasn't going to be able to maintain my sobriety at home, because I would have gotten caught up with the same things. And going home, and for me, going home, you have all of your friends that are at home, and then you have, if you have any, there's very few friends that you have at home or wherever you were before you went to rehab that are sober. And so after a while, you begin to isolate, because you don't have that support group, and you go back to what's easy, which is the group of friends you were hanging out with before. And by coming here, you have a support group that's sober, and you have that foundation to build it's a good foundation for sobriety. And that's really what you need, because isolation is, I know going through it the first time, isolation was the biggest thing for me that caused me, it was my cause of relapse, was just, getting alone and becoming depressed, and it just didn't work out.
So David, what an accomplishment. I understand that you are getting ready to graduate the program.
Yes.
Okay, so why don't you tell us how long you've been here at Rational Reflections?
I've been here 8 months.
And what does it look like for you now when you're getting ready to graduate? What are you going to do with that? Where are you going in the future?
I'm going to go to a school in Orlando called Full Sail University. I'm going there to pursue music, and I'll be there for about 3 years, and that's where I'm headed from here. So I'm excited about it and looking forward to it.
That's awesome. Well, we've got Strive for Recovery coming up this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a walk of awareness. Why don't you tell us about Strive for Recovery? Are you planning on walking the walk this year?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. It's just a fundraiser for Rational Reflections, and everybody comes out and does the walkathon or whatever, and it's a lot of fun.
Alex, why don't you tell us what brought you to Rational Reflections?
Well, when I was in rehab, I didn't